Before we start, I
Oh, we
think
have started.
okay. I just wanted to say that I think we should meet more often, like discuss these ideas beyond work. It's just amazing to meet
Yeah.
you again.
Yeah, I agree. Like I get very like I've said this before as well. Like you're so motivating. Like you think it's not that I think you like naively think everything is awesome, but you're just very good at communicating your excitement around ideas, and
Amazing.
it helps me a ton. Because you know when you're
Yeah.
working on something, you might question a few things, and then it's really nice to have someone kind of cheering you on.
hmm
Um,
You know the power of the rubber duck, like
yeah,
just speaking out loud with a partner, and if it's someone who understands you, it's amazing exercise.
yeah, yeah. I agree. I had an amazing rubber duck session with Sanna uh, earlier today. It's let's see. Here we are. Let's see.
Okay.
Oh, I should. Yeah, my your audio is louder than me. We can't have that. But I think I can turn mine up a little bit. I wonder why I have it so low. Okay, let's try. I'll give you the link to the because you can't see
Okay.
my screen, Danilo.
No, I can't.
That's weird. Okay. Let's see. Let me remove this one. Oh, I'll turn off the audio here. I thought there was like a link. Not a link, but like something you could click and then you could see my screen. But yeah, whatever. Okay, let's see how the
Cool.
latency is. I think I have the lowest latency, but there might be some latency. You sure you can't click something and see my screen?
I'm sorry.
You sure you can't click something and see my screen?
I don't think so. I can see your screen.
That's weird.
But
Because
don't worry, I can see your screen, YouTube.
okay,
I
we'll
can
try
find
it.
it.
Because I think there's some latency, so it's a little bit weird to. I might say something and you don't see it, but we'll try. We'll try. Okay. So let's run the extension. And let's see what we can see here. Oh, shit, I clicked something. Let's see. Do you see the original commits there?
Yes.
Okay, cool. So these are like just the original commits, and I'm on a branch now where I've already done some rebasing. We can try a new one. Maybe we should try a new one. Should we try a new one? It doesn't matter. So yeah, so you can look at the. Oh shit, your face is.
Sorry.
There we go. So you can click these commits like you would expect, and they are like you see the file name here. So if there are multiple
Mhm.
files, you would see all of them. So you would kind of scroll. It's like looking at GitHub, right? And it's what you would expect from VS Code. And then on ready to rebase, there are 3 buttons currently. There's one called revert branch, and that's because I have rebased here before. So when you actually execute a rebase, it will take a backup branch. And even after you've like actually run the rebase and pushed it to remote, you're able to revert back to your original content. Like maybe you don't discover something until you look at GitHub, or maybe you have a colleague that's reviewing the code and then says, hey, what's happening here, or whatever. And then we can start the rebase, And then we can also get a suggested rebase.
Ooh.
Ooh. So we can look at that later. So if I click rebase now, I've given it some colors, and you have the trash at the top, and then you have the actual commits here. And then within each commit, I'm also using like some colors and stuff to kind of highlight that, yeah, this means that it was a rename. I'm using green for that.
Mhm.
And now I'm showing changes. I'm showing both like actual changes in a file, and I'm also showing if it was a rename, a deletion, or an addition. They are their own change entries. So you can like, if you have renamed the file and you made changes, you're actually able to rebase the renaming to a different commit and keep the changes on another commit. So like you have complete freedom.
Mhm.
And then we have, yeah, a deletion here. And then we have a change. Yeah, I wonder why this is red. Anyways, we have a change. Now, the really cool thing and what kind of made all of this work is that all of these changes, they have potentially a dependency to other changes. So all the changes are like a flat array, but they might, and all of them has a dependencies array that might point to kind of the ID or the original index of another change. So for example, this change you see in the rename here, that has a dependency to the actual rename. So the cool thing is if I move this change to a commit that happens before the actual rename, it starts yelling. So it says that now there's a problem with this commit, there's a problem with this file and this change.
Mhm.
Because this
Is it
change cannot be done until you've actually renamed the file.
mhm. Uh, is it because you just rename the file? It's pointing to a different file.
Yes.
How the dependencies are connected? Like it depends on what the commit char, the change itself, or what is this dependence?
The dependency is just on. So the logic is really. Let's see. I have the logic here. We have it here. Dependencies. I guess it's. Is it in the rebaser? So you can imagine when it goes through all the changes, it looks at the current change, and then it looks at the changes that's already happened. And then there's logic that just identifies, for example, does this file have a rename change? So on this change, I made a change to a file. Does this file
Hmm.
previously have a rename? If it does, that is a dependency of
I
this
see.
change. And it also happens, for example, if you have a change that changes some lines that was already changed on a previous change,
Mm.
that also becomes a dependency. So you have to change these other these dependent lines first before you can change the lines within that change. And
Yeah,
you
it makes
also have
sense.
the
Like,
same with deletions. Like if you have made changes and then later a deletion happens and you move that, well, to put it the other way around, if you have a deletion and but on a previous commit you made changes to the file you deleted, and then you try to move that deletion in front of those changes, that also
mhm.
triggers, you can't do that because you're making changes to the file after this. And that's like insanely tricky to like conceptualize how to efficiently identify those scenarios and have like a single concept for it. So I think that's the thing I'm most proud of is doing that, or being able to very efficiently, and like I can even like just talk to you about how I do it. uh, and what concept makes it possible, because this is the
Mhm.
most tricky part of messing around with history.
Yeah, I can see why it's challenging because you need to build something that there's a logical timeline
Yeah.
and
Yeah, exactly. And Git constantly throws stuff at you that messes up that understanding of this timeline. Because
Mhm.
when I talk about this underlying flat array, that is the most natural timeline you have. Like there's one change happening one after the other. And that's also how the rebase is being applied at the end. I'm not like actually rebasing, I'm just resetting the branch to its original state. And then I'm just running through every change one after the other. And whenever I change to a different commit, like the change has a reference to a different commit, I actually like do a git add and then git
Mhm.
commit, and then I keep just adding the changes.
I see.
Um, but then when you
Yeah.
look at this, you have like the commits are from the newest to the oldest. But when you look at the file, you have the oldest change to the newest change. So it's like this Git view that we're so used to, it kind of messes up your head in terms of like what happens first and last. Like I think it's intuitive, but technically making changes to it under the hood, it becomes like unintuitive. It's difficult to reason
Yeah.
about. Um,
Uh, Especially when you see like a git if you know the previous point on time, what are you comparing to? It makes sense.
mhm.
But if you don't have like what to compare, like this rebase idea, git diff doesn't give you much information. Like what is the order? What is
Yeah,
depending on? It's basically depending on the previous state,
yeah,
but we're not sure what is the was the previous state when we are basing.
yeah,
So I can see it's challenging.
yeah, exactly. And like the current experience around these dependencies is that I was initially thinking that you should have full freedom in moving stuff around, because normally it makes sense to you and you will make like logical changes. But then if you do an illogical change, it will rather just highlight it. It will still allow you to do the change, but it highlights that it's illogical. Because as a different user experience, I could like block moving that thing. Like there's two things I could do. I could just block it and give a message, or I could make sure that any dependencies would follow along. So for example, if
Mhm.
I move this change, it would also move the rename because it's a dependency. Um,
That's smart.
but I'm not sure what's like the best user experience, because even though it's kind of cool that dependencies can follow along, you might be confused by that. Like, why did that
Mhm.
happen? Because you don't necessarily understand the dependencies looking at this. So yeah, I'm
Mhm.
not sure what's the best experience there.
Um, Maybe in order to try out and see what it looked like, we could add like an option on top of
Mm,
the, the extension, and then you can feel like what is the best option.
that's a good idea. Let's see. I'm just going to bring up some notes here, just making sure I'm not sharing anything I shouldn't be
Because I
sharing.
can see it's frustrating to see this warning because we can simply do it, but you don't know why.
Mm-hmm.
But in the other way, it's also frustrating to see that it's moving more than we you initially wanted,
Yeah,
right?
exactly. Yeah.
So yeah, you need to
Uh,
make it clear.
yeah. Yeah, that's a really good idea. And then we could even have like metrics on it. Like, what do people do? Which option do they have?
Mhm.
Show warning, uh, block and show message, move dependencies. Move dependencies along. Cool. Just as a side note, I was also thinking that I should always like show the revert branch option, even though you don't have a backup branch, for the like, so you kind of understand that it's there. like I think a lot of people coming into this experience, they worry about rebasing.
Hmm.
So knowing that that feature is actually there, it's like for discovery reasons.
Oh yeah, it
Um,
makes sense.
because currently it's hidden if it doesn't have a backup branch. But yeah, I think for discovery it's important. Um, so what we can do here is like we can move all these changes down here, for example, and then this commit becomes like empty, which is why it's dotted. And I can choose to remove it if I want to do that, or it will like be ignored because it doesn't have any changes during the rebase. But you can also change it. Well, you can add new commits if you want to do that. Blip. And you can like change the order of commits if you want to do that.
Hmm.
So the drag and drop of a commit is different than the drag and drop of a file or a change.
Hmm.
It's a bit
As a
limited, like what you can do in VS Code, but yeah.
mhm. As a suggestion,
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't make it green only when you add something new, because this is a kind of what
Yeah,
GitHub does, you know. And for changes, yeah, maybe blue.
yeah. I was actually surprised that it was green. I'm not sure. Yeah, should be blue or something. I agree.
Yeah, and maybe the timeline, the Git commit itself could be just gray, like a
Mm.
default color, because you wanted to highlight the changes you are
Yeah, that's
making.
true. That's true. Maybe I could have. Maybe it would be useful to have like a flag when you add a new commit. So like, uh,
Hmm.
so that yeah, so you can see like what are existing commits and what are commits you add. But yeah,
Yeah, that's a good idea. And then this commit could be green, right?
yeah, yeah, can be green. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Yeah, and even maybe we could use blue on a commit where you change the message.
Hmm.
Yeah, maybe blue when you change message. Yeah, that's cool. Um, yeah, and then you can also move stuff to the well, and also the cool thing is if I click the file, I can actually see the diff real time. Um, so if I were to like add other changes here, those changes would come up in the diff. So as I'm rebasing, I can actually look at the file at any time and see how it looks in terms of a diff, which is really cool. um, or I can like shove it in the trash if I don't want it. Um, but let's say I want it. um, and then if I'm happy, I approve rebase, but it hasn't rebased yet. So what's kind of cool now is that I can actually, and I think this is kind of brilliant, is that you can actually compare your rebase and the original commits at the same time. So you can see like how does it
Hmm.
will it look and how does it look currently, which is really really cool. Because in terms of Git itself, you can't really do that. I think because you only have the current history of the branch. But because all of this is like happening in the state of the extension, it's possible to create that experience.
So
Um,
if let me see if I understood this correctly.
mhm.
So the section below shows your original commit,
Mhm.
and the main section shows your current rebase state.
Yeah, what you intend to
So
rebase. Yeah,
yeah, so you at this point you didn't push this,
exactly.
right?
Yeah,
Okay. Once you push, and then the original commit will look like the you are going to change. Okay.
Yeah. So
And
yeah.
this gives confidence. Like I
Yes,
can.
exactly. Because originally immediately did the push, but Sanna gave me feedback that you should actually you shouldn't push immediately. You should just approve it first and then push it. And that led to the feature of, oh shit, you can actually compare the new history before you push it, which is really cool. I wasn't sure
Yeah,
that was
that's
gonna
hard to
work,
be.
but yeah. So now you can see like delete license now is different. Here it's just deleting the license, but here, oh, that should show as a deletion. I'm not sure why it doesn't. That's a bug. Let's see. Diff does not rebase diff does not show as deletion. All right. Yeah, so this should have been shown as a deletion. Interesting. Whatever. Cool. And then I can choose to like edit to change it if I'm not happy, or I can actually click rebase and push, and that should really show progress thing. Show progress when push and when rebase and push. But at the end of that process, you see the original commits kind of updating to what I have.
Cool.
One thing I thought of was maybe it should be called original commits. Like it should be like current commits or something.
What is called when your branch is local? It's head or something. When a branch is in GitHub, it's called origin. But what is the name when you're working on your local branch?
Oh, yeah.
Is head?
Like
No, I
head.
don't think.
Yeah, remote. No, origin head. Yeah, origin head. Yeah, I guess so. Yeah.
Yeah, just food for thought. Maybe we
Yeah.
can find the right term.
Yeah. Yeah, like what's the opposite of let's see. By the way, have you tried the new ChatGPT task feature?
Oh, I haven't. I've been using Zed to code it,
Oh.
and
Oh, so you're not actually using ChatGPT for like everyday stuff? I'm using it all the time. Like
I'm
for
using
everything.
Cloud.
Oh. But you only
In the-
do use LLMs for like coding things? You don't use it for other things?
Usually for search, I hate search nowadays. When I want to find something, for me it's easier, faster to go to Cloud ask something.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but yeah, I've been enjoying Cloud. I like the idea using alternatives.
Yeah.
Oh, by the way, I have to go. I have to go, and
Oh, yeah.
but I'm so looking forward to see the suggest rebase like feature.
Yes. Yeah, I was just gonna tell you. It's pretty cool. And the only reason it kind of works is because I'm changing the data structure that I'm passing to the LLM to represent exactly what it needs to like make adjustments, and then I kind of remap it back to the actual stuff. So yeah, I'm gonna show it to you later, but I'm gonna do these fixes. So thanks for
Mhm.
the feedback. This was great, Danilo.
Yeah, yeah. Let's meet again.
Yep,
Maybe next week.
cool.
See
Bye
you.
for
Thank
now.
you. Bye bye.
Let's see. Um, that was great. That was great. Let's see what we have here. I'm not sure if I'm gonna actually make any changes now. I think we'll do another stream, and then yeah, we're basically just gonna do these things, clean it up a little bit. Let's see, I have my notes in. Yeah, we have backup branch. Write final. Oh, snapshot tests. Yeah, we have snapshot tests, but I'm not gonna start adding them until we actually have some bugs. But I wanna. One thing we also need to fix is, let's see, extend a binary type with content and use execute git command to read state of binary at different commits. So when we have different binary files, you don't have actual diffs. You don't have text diffs. So you can't apply patches or anything. You basically, what we have to do is when we basically start a rebase and build up the rebase state, we have these changes representing a binary change. And on that actual change, we're gonna just write the contents of the binary file in memory as a buffer. So that when you move the change around, it will literally write that content of the binary file to the file system when it handles that change. So that should be pretty simple. And then we'll make all these other fixes. Origin, remote, local, whatever. Then we'll make all these other fixes, and then yeah, I'm gonna wrap up an alpha release, and then we're ready to go. Maybe we should make a hopefully, yeah. Let's see if we can make that happen this weekend. That will be awesome. Cool. Awesome. Thanks for following along, and bye for now.